The more you try to keep me down and keep my head above the water, you can never hold me down. The more you try to block me out, that's where I kick the wall down. You can never hold me back. The more you try to put me out, the more I'll be blazing, it's too hot. The more you try to put me in the dirt, increase my work, the expert. You see the hunger in the eyes of a survivor. Swallowed my pride, washed down with some saliva. Reinvented my whole life, mental MacGyver. One door shut, another open up wider. Listen, battle drums in the distance.
Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, actually. I was going to say another Tuesday evening, but that would be a lie. We had switched over to a Wednesday, and I appreciate everybody for coming back and hanging out with us tonight. It is Pinecase Podcast, the podcast where music is our drug of choice. And tonight we're talking about something other than music, which is really exciting. Arts and culture is obviously very important. It's very therapeutic and it brings us together as a community. So we are super excited to welcome Sam Solo, who is not only a crocheter, but a domestic abuse advocate and a survivor, and really a mother and a granddaughter. And I think why this conversation is one of the more important conversations is that we are all those things in some ways, right? I'm a mom, I'm a granddaughter, we all have this role to play in society, and some of these things get overlooked all of the time, and we push community and support in society so much over at Pinecase. So I'm really excited to just talk some regular talk and have a good conversation about what gets you through and what motivates you, and a little bit about what you've been through. So thank you so much, Sam, for coming and hanging out with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I'm local to the Comox Valley. I just turned 34 yesterday, actually. So happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
I dabble in a lot of art, not just crochet. I also have sketching and puzzles and painting and coloring. Both sets of grandparents actually set me up in the arts as a very, very young child. And through that, I've built some beautiful connections, not just, people, but true friendships that these people come and they check in on me and I check in on them. And art brought us together, but the connection made us stay. And it truly does bring people together, and it can be truly healing.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? It's interesting because I think we kind of forget that part as we become adults, right? I mean, it's something that we learn as a kid, and it's like what our elders kind of push on us, like, oh, you're driving me crazy, come and sit down and do this puzzle, or come and sit down and color this thing. And it's like a way to pass time, but it's also very calming and relaxing. And some of the most successful mental health spaces I've seen are basically a glorified craft table, right?
There's so many crafts. If you don't like crochet, get into diamond painting. And if you don't like diamond painting, get into coloring or puzzles or needle felting even. There's an endless world of art to unwind your mind with. And as you sort, your felts and get your felting into place, or you sort your diamonds and you get, a row of diamonds done, it doesn't just help you sort your mind, but it gives you a sense of accomplishment. And when you're struggling with basic, am I okay or not, that small little self of accomplishment, it can be what gets you through the day. And if your art is what is getting you through the day, in my opinion, that's a day well spent.
It's interesting because in addiction, there's this ritual that goes along with it, right? It's oh, people go out, and I'm using substances just because it's on the top of my mind right now, but it's just as much as the substance itself, but it's the sourcing it, going and getting it, the connection they have, going back, laying it out, doing the thing, da da da. And as you were saying, sorting your stuff, I'm wait, maybe there is an art in just the ritual of getting ready to do the art that could be utilized a lot more to kind of fulfill that space.
Well, and even for me and crochet, for example, I joke I have two different hobbies when it comes to crochet: pattern collecting and actually crocheting, because there is that ritual of needing something new and not feeling like you have enough almost. And then you get, that pattern you've been saving up for, or that new yarn, or new mic, or whatever you're saving for your art. And it's almost a sense of satisfaction getting the supplies, and then using the supplies is a whole different sense of satisfaction.
Yeah. You know what's wild is it is fundamental when it comes to like life coaching and self-worth and all of these things that tend to go hand in hand in the mental health conversation. It's like if you can set these little goals, right? And these like
Mhm.
these little goals of accomplishment. It's like, okay, they don't have to be big, but because you've now accomplished it and you feel a little bit better about yourself, like to get yourself out of a slump or get yourself back on track or get yourself back into a routine or
Mhm.
even building the routine in itself. I am going to be really honest with you. Don't utilize art in that aspect, but I think it is an extremely underutilized tool. And we need to get back to that. We need to start creating more spaces where people can find those things, because a lot of people go like
Mhm.
I don't want to like crap on society or anything. There's a lot of really cool people out there doing some really cool things, but as a whole I feel like we kind of let that stuff go as we get older. We're like, oh, now we have to pay the bills and ho hum, and now we get stuck into this and
There's
da da da,
there's
and
an adulting kind of gap you get
yeah,
stuck in, that you get told by society you shouldn't buy Lego and you shouldn't buy puzzles, and you don't need coloring supplies. You're not like, no, those
right,
are basic care, in my opinion, because you aren't just playing with toys or coloring a picture. You're taking a moment and you're accomplishing something. And that in the end will make your mental health better because you have that sense of accomplishment. And like Lego, for example, I love Lego. I build so much Lego. And it doesn't just give me that sense of accomplishment, but every time I walk past my Lego display, I get a little hit of dopamine of, oh, look at my cute little Legos, or, my crystal collection of, ooh, that one caught the light really pretty today. There isn't just that initial rush of happiness from it. There comes so many little moments. And I think if we as a society stopped putting pressure on people to be that adult and only pay the bills and, be grown up, the world would be a happier place because all of us would be free to be whoever we are. And, if you're the person that wants to go to work and pay the bills and focus on the budget and, buy the house and do all the next right steps for proper adulthood, good on you. Do it. Go for it. But don't take away from the person that goes, I don't want to own a house. I want to own an art studio. I don't want to pay a mortgage. I want to pay financing on this fancy camera. It's it needs to be less about what milestones society thinks you need to hit and more about how are you as a person. We've stopped asking people, how are you? And started doing cash register honesty with our friends. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. And we don't get into the conversations kids have of, oh, my sock bunched up in my shoe all day and it really hurt my foot and now I've got a pain. We start giving our friends cash register honesty and we start taking away our connections. And if we stopped fitting into the societal, oh, be a grown up, don't talk about your feelings, there'd be a lot more room for those conversations through teenhood, through adolescence, through puberty, through, all these big life changes where maybe if people had more connection, they wouldn't make the decisions they did. Like, I know for myself, if I had more connection, I wouldn't have gotten married.
yeah,
It just,
right.
it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have been lonely. I wouldn't have been looking away from red flags. I would have seen the circus of red flags and gone, no thanks, I'll skip this show.
Hmm. Well, and not only that, but like society tells you that that's what you're supposed to do, right? It's like,
Hmm.
oh, you're at this age. Okay, well, where's your partner? Like,
Yeah.
you can't
Oh,
go to a family function without it being like,
you're
okay,
over 30. Where's your ring? When are
Mhm.
you having the next baby? And that's a whole other societal norm that, in my opinion, needs to go away, because you don't know what struggles or what trauma that person has gone through to even get to today.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what thoughts they fought that morning, or what fertility struggles they have, or, what they are afraid of passing on in genetics and therefore don't want to. And that's valid. It's something I should have thought about: genetics and what you pass on to your kids. And that's a valid reason to not want them. But society says, no, you're of, you're 30, you better be married with kids in a house.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, no more beach, shacks and like walking barefoot, just like collecting seashells to build like a wind chime or whatever, right? It's like you gotta get married, you need to be in debt, you
Hmm.
need to, buy a boat and have like two quads and like, oh, what do you mean you don't have a RV? Like that's ridiculous. And your cousin,
What do
she's
you
her
mean you don't
yeah,
have a vacation house? Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's
and I mean, I grew up watching family meet all those goals and never really wanting them.
mhm,
You know, my original plan as a young adult just getting out of school was I was going to go be a cop.
right.
And then that didn't work for various reasons, and I became a retail employee for a bit, and I decided I wanted more, and I tried my hand at plumbing, and I at one point was like, I'm going to go travel the world on my plumbing Red Seal ticket. And for various reasons, again, that plan didn't work out, but it's never been, I want to get this job so I can get the house and have the white picket fence. Like, bless my grandparents, they both built beautiful white picket fence houses, but that was never the life I wanted.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is I've spent a lot of time with elderly people lately, and the conversation that they've all been very honest with me about is like, don't do these things, like almost to the point where they like feel guilty about pushing me into these things. Or like, you know what? Just kidding. Go to the show. Go to the show. Go to the concert. Go do the thing. Like, don't end up at this age like with no mobility and nothing to do, but like the conversation that I had with somebody who I just absolutely adore was like, I worked my whole life and my bank account looks great, but I can't actually get up to go and do anything with it. And I'm
Hmm.
just like, oh my gosh, wait a sec,
And that was one thing that, like, my grandma drove home in our last few years together was, do the things, follow your dreams while your body lets you. Because
Mhm.
one day you're gonna get to the point I am, where I'm sitting on this couch, barely able to get up, burning cigarette holes because I can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
Do the things while you are young. And my grandma lived a beautiful life. She loved her life. But there were things that she wished she had chased and she never got to.
Yeah.
And it's nice that I get to chase those for her.
Well, but again, there's another responsibility. It's like we are now part of their legacy, so we do. I feel a sort of duty to my lineage to like make something of myself.
Well, and like with my mom's side of the family, that was always there. The
Mm.
pressure to be something, to fit into the Catholic Church, to honestly be a school teacher, because that's what most of my mom's family is teachers. And bless their hearts,
Absolutely, yeah.
that's not me. I'm good with my kids. I'll wrangle my kids. I'll teach my kids, but I'm not meant to be a teacher. Whereas with my stepdad's side of the family, everyone was very flowy, do what you want. There was one cousin that went off to become a DJ and like ended up moving to Scotland and becoming a housewife in Scotland with a beautiful little boy, and she loves her life. but nobody ever stopped her from chasing that. Like, I remember my uncle getting up at the crack of dawn to drive her to Canadian Idol auditions. And
Mhm.
that was the family. If you wanted to chase your dreams, they were there to chase your dreams with you.
There's so much value in unapologetically supporting your kids, and the other youth in your family. I mean, there is something to be said about people who don't know they can't do something, and I live amongst children that have no idea what their limits are, and it's so amazing to see, right? Like, the stories not stories, like, the things that they plan on achieving in their life, I'm like,
Mhm.
"Holy moly,"
My
like, I
favorite
can't even imagine.
inspirational "you can do anything" story is Dave Pilkey, the author of Captain Underpants and
Mhm.
Dogman and Cat Kid and whatever. He started writing those comics as a child,
Right.
and he got told by his school teachers to knock it off. He'd never get anywhere with it. It was a waste of time. And now look at him.
Yeah.
Like, encourage your kids to follow their dreams, be it math, be it science, be it NASA, military, whatever it is. Build your kids up, follow their dreams with them, because one day they're going to be an adult without you, and they're either going to have your voice of questioning them or your voice of support. And it's really, what, at the end of the day, do you want to leave your kids? Do you want to leave them a sense of, mom believed in me, mom knew I could do it? Or do you want them constantly, can I do it? Am I able? Is this okay? Is this dumb? If you support your kids when they're young and allow them to chase things when they're young, yeah, you might waste some money on some sports that they don't actually want to do, or, an instrument that they played for 5 minutes and realized, hey, this is actually a lot of work. Like, you might waste some money down the road, but what you won't waste is your kids' building blocks of life. You're going to teach them confidence. You're going to teach them to follow their dreams and follow their own path, and not listen to what other people think, because at the end of the day, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
It's all about you, and can you lay your head on that pillow at night and go, yeah, I'm happy with what I did today? Or are you going to lay that head on your pillow and go, damn, I missed this opportunity, or I should have taken that shot, or, even something as simple as texting that first girl you like her as a teen. If we build our kids' confidence in, they can walk, they can run, they will have that confidence to ask the first girl or first boy or first prom date. You build that confidence young, and you have adults that are sure of themselves.
Yeah. Thank you for saying all that, because it is not talked about nearly enough. And this is also the opportunity to normalize some of those crafty, fun, Lego-y
Hmm.
things. Like, these are normal things that people can do at any age that will bring you comfort and help with your dopamine release, and as you're hitting all of your reward,
Hmm.
spaces. And it's like, I think that we should support each other, even like as a community, in each other's parentage. Like,
Hmm.
get on board with each other. My mom is notorious for making making cheerleader, like, pom-poms out of grocery bags and going to my friends' kids' hockey games and just being, like, absolutely obnoxious in the stands, and it used to be
But
so embarrassing, right? But
that
now I'm
should
like,
be normal.
yes, it should be absolutely normal. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Of course, like, there's
Like,
crazy Auntie Nammy whatever in the stands, like,
yeah,
causing it friends. Yeah.
yeah. And I will be that crazy aunt for my children in my life, whether it be blood or found family. I am that crazy aunt. I will absolutely cheer them on. I have a nephew getting to explore his theater side, and every time I get a text message that he's, accomplished a show or done a dance or he gets a solo, I cheer him on, because that's exciting. And the fact that they are so innocent and so excited, and they want to share that excitement, that is beautiful and that is precious. And it's something that I think adults should have too. Me and my yarn community, we have weekly little show and tells, and we get to show our favorite project from the week. And I think adult show and tell should be more normalized.
Yeah,
Show
that
your
sounds
friends
great.
what you're excited about. You got a new pair of shoes? Show them off. You got a new outfit that you look cute in? Post the picture on Facebook. Life is too short to spend worrying what other people think of you. Wear that outfit, say that crazy saying, go to the game and be that crazy aunt, because one day all they're going to have left is that memory of, their crazy aunt, which garbage bag pom-poms cheering them on. It will
Yeah.
be their core memory that they hold on to when they don't have you to hold.
You sound like somebody who has absolutely dealt with grief. Um, and obviously you found a way to like navigate it, but I appreciate the fact that you've come on here and said like, after you're gone, because it's not something that I put much thought into. Up until this point, I've been the grandkid, right? And I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
my grandparents are up next, and oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? I haven't actually put a whole lot of thought into what my duty is in this position for the generations to come, and what I'm leaving in their minds and their thoughts, like what happens then. And I just think it's a really great way to even like start your day and start your conversations off with your kids. Like, how are they going to take this? How are they going to perceive this? And just be more
Mm-hmm.
considerate of like what they're going through, instead of it being just based off of like, well, I'm the parent, so this is what my day is going to look like, and you're just going to be in
Mm-hmm.
it. Right? Like that inclusiveness conversation is, yeah, it needs to be talked about. But a lot of people in our generation don't even understand what that looks like, because it's not something that they're familiar with, and it's not something that they grew up having. Because unfortunately, our parents'
Feelings
generation,
got
yeah,
shoved under the rug, like all the hard
mhm,
conversations. And,
yeah,
I'm so open about it because I was that little kid going through grief. I faced my first loss in kindergarten. I
yeah,
was 5 years old learning about what it meant that, my auntie grandma, who I still don't know if she was an aunt or a grandma, but we called her Auntie Grandma. She was a wonderful, wonderful human. And I have so many memories of her that are just the most magical thing in my mind. And were they that magical, or is it just my little kid view that was innocent? And, but it wasn't just at 5 that I got to grieve alone. It went further throughout my whole life. I lost my grandpa in 2001, and it was really traumatic on me. And I got to go through it alone because my mom's view was, I'm the parent. You do as I say, not as I do. Children should be seen, not heard kind of logic. And it damaged me. It did. And I don't ever want to see another human, but especially a tiny human, one that doesn't deserve to go through that at all and doesn't understand it in any way. I never want to repeat the cycle my parents gave me of leaving someone alone in their grief.
we always talk about like breaking chains. Oh, we got to break this generational thing. And I'm like, is it that, or is it like building more support? Like, I feel like it's like building more chains, like add the chains on, add more chains, weld
It's
them together
it's
stronger. Like,
both.
yeah.
It's a little bit of both, right? You're going in and you're taking out the bad links and you're putting in new links that work properly. And it doesn't just have to be with like mental health or, recovery, or it can be about anything. You're in a business and it's not working. You go in, you take out little pieces and you put in new pieces, or you're in a relationship and it's not working and you communicate what isn't working. You take out the pieces that aren't and put in new, stronger communication connections. It's all about removing what doesn't work and replacing it. And without removing it, you're just kind of piling more on it.
Mm.
And without replacing it, you leave a gap of mostly nothing, but a lot of times a gap of different toxicity. And you might not be repeating the same toxic cycle, but you've given them a different toxic cycle. And that's where learning the connection is important.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of things that come from other things, right? Like if your mom is if maybe your parents suffered from addiction and then now you have codependency issues, right? And a lot
Mhm.
of those things are talked about when we see, intergenerational trauma, we assume that it's going to be the same addictions or afflictions or whatever. And oftentimes it's actually not, right? Because people are like,
There
well, I won't do
it
that.
shifts.
Yeah, it
You can
shifts.
see a shift through the line, and even in my family, you can see the shift of, like, all my aunts and uncles are alcoholics, and then all my cousins and me got into the harder things.
Mhm.
There was that casual generational shift of we only have church at wine to we only have church on holidays to or wine on holidays to we have wine at dinner to or cracking beers, and then to me and my cousins going in to the harder stuff and the drugs, and it, it shifted and it got worse every generation, and you can see not just the addiction shifting, but you can see the connection shifting too. My grandma focused really hard on having Sunday dinners every week with the whole family.
Mhm.
And when she stopped, it became holidays only. And then when my aunts stopped, it became, well, we get together for Halloween because we can party and drink. And when people stopped partying and drinking, they stopped getting invited to family events, period. Because you weren't partaking, why are you here?
Yeah, well,
And
you're
it,
a prude, right? Like
yeah, each generation it shifted. Like my grandma was a British immigrant and she lived with her parents until the day she left Britain for Canada. And her boys, she kept them home as long as she could. And then her boys went on to have kids that they all went, "Oh, you're 18, get out. Oh, you're 18, pay me rent." And like there's this generational disconnect from protecting your family to preparing your kids for the world.
Mhm.
But there's no magic age where they stop needing their parents. It's not like you turn 18 and you magically stop needing your mom. Most oftentimes you turn 18 and you need her more because you're like, what the heck am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Give me guidance. How do I be an adult? And it's become very disconnected between the generations of, well, you're an adult, figure it out yourself. And our generation is seeking that connection of, well, you did it, so tell me how. Give me some ideas at least so I can find my own way.
Yeah. You know what's wild is that the financial situation, like our financial and economic climate is going to push us back into intergenerational homes.
It
And
already
I
has.
am kind of here for it. I'm like, if I like, why do I have to drive 2 flipping hours to have Sunday dinner? Like, why are we
Hmm.
this far apart? And I'm finding myself constantly in a situation where I'm like, okay, wait, wait, wait. Like, why am I looking for childcare when I have able-bodied grandparents? Like, what is going on here? How did we end up in all these different homes, like stressing about our mortgages and stressing about this and stressing about that? And then grandma and grandpa are like taking flippin' Ubers to go to a doctor's appointment. I'm like, I
Yeah.
wasn't doing anything today. Like, what can we just scoop everybody back up, please, and get everybody back in the same space so we can be done with this like weird relying on stranger thing? I don't know. I'm fully prepared for all my kids to like live here until they all have a down payment and can move in with each other and then rent out the basement to whoever and they can all live upstairs and pay. Like, I'm like, listen, there is a plan. Like we're not going out here with you over here and you paying 2,500 bucks over here. Like we're because I just and no shade to my parents. They're lovely. I adore them and I
Hmm.
appreciate them so much. Um, but no one told me what was up. No one was like, "Hey, you know what you should do is get with some people you trust, not dudes or whatever, or a girlfriend or whatever. Find friends or find your siblings, and you guys
Hmm.
go in on a financial agreement instead of it being like, oh, you got to shack up and have kids and da-da."
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that if that's what works. However, being pushed into these situations can be really dangerous and they fulfill something that it I don't know. I'm not comfortable pushing my kids into that. I'm just not.
Even the economic climate right now, I know so many women who are wanting out, have gotten out of the relationship, and they're not, with him. He's sleeping on the couch, they're sleeping in the room, but
Hmm.
they can't afford to get out. And there are some dangerous situations where I have friends trapped in domestic violence, and they're going, I can't afford to leave. Everybody says pick up your kids and get to the shelters. What happens when the shelters tell you you have too many kids? What
Hmm.
happens when the shelter goes, sorry, we're too full? Like, and I've been in that situation. I have called a shelter being like, I have nowhere to sleep. And they've gone, that's nice, sleep in your car.
Yeah, well, and the other things that people aren't talking about. So we're here saying we need to keep our kids at home as long as we can. But what happens when you are a boy mom, much like us, Calico in the
Mm-hmm.
comments, it's like when you have kids that are adults, the shelters aren't really set up for that anymore. They're like, okay, the chicks are over here, the dudes are over here. So if you got adult children that are boys, like you guys aren't even going to the same space a lot of the times. It's just not safe. It's not set up for success. The idea behind those spaces was like a temporary relief to a hopefully
Mm-hmm.
a temporary situation. But the way that we're living right now is that like once you've gotten into that space, it's very hard to get back out of it again. And I don't believe that it has the best intentions. Although I know that that's
Oh,
what the
it's
reason is. It's like no.
but there's become a gap in what the intentions were and what the reality is. And it's
Right.
not just, adult sons that are being separated from their adult mothers. It is teen boys. You
Mhm.
go in there with a 14-year-old boy as a single mom, they're going to say, that's nice, you two are split.
Mhm.
And in the climate of the addiction issue and the opioid crisis, that's not safe for a teen to be split from their parent like that. It's just not.
No. Well, not with
And
oh my gosh.
it
I mean,
we're all one paycheck away from being there, and it does scare me. And it goes further for parents of special needs kids, which I
mhm,
am. My son is severely autistic, and he is a beautiful human,
mhm,
but there is that fear of what happens if he falls on hard time and he ends up there, because they aren't set up there for the people who do need the more intense help, the mental health help, the psychiatrists, the medications. Like, there is such a gap in what those people need to get out of there, that of course they're stuck there. Of
mhm.
course they got stuck there. They lost one paycheck and they fell on hard times, and everybody said, that's nice, see you later.
Yeah.
Of course they're stuck there. They have no help to get out. And there are those cases, don't get me wrong, there are some people that no matter what resources you give them, they will never make better choices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There
And
is definitely yes, there is. Of course.
that's
And
their their prerogative. As
yeah.
long as you aren't harming other people, do as you do.
Yeah,
That is my
there is
opinion.
habitual I actually know one. I wouldn't maybe say that we were friends, but we are in each other's life quite a bit. And he is super comfortable. Just he does the detox thing
Mhm.
and then he goes into the rehab and then he goes into the shelter. And then when he maxes that time out, because all of those have a time limit, right? And
Mhm.
then he goes back into the detox. And I'm like, man, that must be exhausting. And he's like, yeah, it's not bad. The food's pretty good at the detox center. Da
But
da da.
he's
Da. And
gotten
I'm like,
used to the routine
"Mhm,
too. It's the same as people who get put in jail. Eventually, they get used to the institution life and the rigid routine that those places provide, and they don't know any other way to live. And that's another downside to a lot of these places, is they give you such a strict routine that the minute you're not there and you don't have that routine, you fall apart, because your brain hasn't learned to just rest. It's gone from most likely trauma to these situations of either institutionalized or detox or rehab. And then you get stuck in this very strict meet your basic needs routine, become a better human routine, but you never get taught how to just be. You don't get taught how to sit in the silence and enjoy it. You get taught, oh, you're uncomfortable, go help other people. Oh, you're uncomfortable, go into this routine. And I think there needs to be a class for just the general public on stillness, not meditation, not, yoga, but stillness, sitting in absolute silence, because there is peace to be had in there. There is euphoria to be had in absolute silence. And maybe it's because I'm a mom, I think that. I don't know. But
Maybe,
it,
but it also feels like the things that you do, like the art, the crocheting, the Lego is almost the stepping stone into learning how to be with yourself. Because in order to do that, you have to give yourself permission to sit at a table or sit on a couch or sit on a bed for 45 minutes to 2 hours or whatever. And
mhm,
I know a ton of people that can't accomplish that because they don't know how to give themselves permission to do those things. They're so uncomfortable with that space. I'm like, "Man, you don't actually owe anybody an explanation to why you're
mhm,
hanging out." Like, I don't feel obligated to explain myself, and if you worked a 12-hour shift for 8 shifts in a row and you came home after doing that, you would never feel like you need to explain yourself. So, find that gumption
mhm,
and that, like, not give a whatever, and that I deserve this time in the same way. It's like, yeah, I think there might be a space for that, like, in the arts and culture to teach people how to
mhm,
be with themselves without feeling like they have to explain away what they're doing or justify what they're doing. I would comfortably say that, probably 40% of the conversations that we have on the Pinecase warm line have to do with people not being like, they just can't be with themselves, and they
mhm.
feel like they have to explain why they're d "Well, I'm not being lazy, I just, I'm just watching a movie, but I'm not being lazy, it's like, I don't give a shit what you did. I don't care if you watched a movie all day since yesterday. I don't give a shit
Even
if
if all
you
you
like
did is
business."
e
Like,
even if all you did is wake up today, you
yeah,
deserve time for yourself.
yeah,
If all you did was get up and have a shower today, turn on that movie afterwards, put on those comfy clothes, buy
yeah.
that luxurious lotion you love to rub all over yourself. It doesn't matter. Take that time for you, invest in you, because at the end of the day, you cannot boil an empty kettle. You will burn that house down. And if
Mhm,
you're boiling that empty kettle for weeks on end, helping everybody else, eventually you do burn your house down. You go into burnout, you go into mental health crisis, worst case, you go to relapse even. There's so much societal pressure to be there for everyone else that I think our generation doesn't know how to show up for themselves because we've been taught it's selfish and it's unnecessary.
mhm.
And
Well, sorry.
it is necessary. It's 100% necessary.
Oh, yeah. Well, and a lot of people like just build off of the relapse thing, like a lot of people don't understand that relapse happens long before the actual relapse, right? Like,
Mhm.
there's emotional relapse, there's mental relapse, and then there's the physical relapse, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
things that happen. Um, I mean, burnout is literally a symptom. Like it is like the basis of emotional relapse. It's like you're already there, you're feeling those
Mhm.
things. Like, hunger is another thing that we need to be on top of, and anger, and like, all these things that we don't even notice. And I'm not even talking about just like relapsing off of drugs, but maybe relapsing just off of like stability, relapsing off of being codependent, whatever that looks like. I know
Mhm.
some people
Y
relapse
You
on
could
something else.
even have, like, you're trying to quit cigarettes and,
Mhm.
you know, you something doesn't go your way, and all of a sudden you're relapsing because you don't know how to sit with the uncomfortableness and "Well, shit, that didn't go to plan. What do I do now?"
Mhm.
There's the whole world got taught only plan for plan A, and we missed the book that you should have plans B through Z too. You just might not need them.
Mhm.
And like if my story can be an example of anything, it's to have all those backup plans, because my life did not go as planned. I'm not a cop. I am not a plumber. I don't even have a finished degree under my belt for anything.
Mhm.
But what I do have is my grandma's dreams and my crochet and my art. And that is worth more than any degree to be able to say that my grandma spent 60 years dreaming of publishing a pattern, and she's in my pattern. I have dedication pages in all of my patterns to her, because that was her dream. Her dream was to publish a pattern, and it might not be the pattern she dreamed of publishing, but that was one of my goals starting my business, was to brave publishing a pattern. And this year I did it. I've published now 2 patterns,
Congratulations.
and it's it's been amazing getting to see those generational dreams come true. And she might not be on earth to see them, but she's somewhere. She's somewhere watching and cheering on, watching every single one of those crochet bucket lists getting to be checked off. And I've done everything she ever wanted to with that crochet business. And it's still going to go. It's still going to chase dreams, because that's what grandma would have wanted.
Yeah. What a wild thing. So, like, take me back a little bit. I'm really curious to know, like, how that came about. How did that become the thing that brought you 2 together, and why do you feel so passionate
So
about making sure that
she is actually my step grandma, and we didn't meet until I was about 3. And
Mhm.
my first memory of my grandma is me running up to the door, all excited, and asking her if she had cookies.
Oh my
And she
goodness.
told me, "Yes, dear, I have cookies, but I have something else too." And she handed me knitting needles and a crochet hook. And she told me I had to pick one, but neither wasn't an option. And I tried my hand at knitting. I don't have the hand-eye coordination for it. I don't. It's fine. Whatever. But I fell in love with crochet, and I made misshapen doll scarves and doll blankets, and grandma had so many badly shaped hats for decades. But that was our thing. Every time I went over to her house, I'd go dig in her yarn bin and I'd grab a hook and I'd just start going. And eventually, after grandpa passed, she got put into a care home, and not a lot of people went to visit her. So when I eventually moved back and found out that grandma was essentially alone in this care home, I was working retail and had a lot of spare time. And I would go and I would spend hours with my grandma, sitting there chain smoking terrible cigarettes, drinking absolutely disgusting instant coffee, and watching terrible game shows. But it gave us a really unique bond where we got the time to discuss, how she came over from Europe and how she met grandpa and how they came to settle in Alberta and why they bought the exact house they did and why they were happy it stayed in the family and one of my cousins bought it. And like, we got to spend decades together learning not just her history, but like the history of why she wanted to do everything, why it was important to her, why grandpa meant the world to her, why she even had 6 boys. Cause like that was a burning question in my mind for years. Why did you have 6 children? That is so many children. And her answer was really simple. She wanted a girl. That was it. That's why she had 6 boys. And after number 6 came out a boy, she went, "Screw it. I'll have daughter-in-laws." And like a really weird number to stop at, but okay, we're done at 6. Not a lot of people in the family knew why it got capped there, but it was her number. It was her magic number. She wanted 6 kids. She didn't want a huge family, but she wanted a big family.
Mhm.
And she wanted girls so she could pass on the art of crochet. And then she ended up getting 6 daughter-in-laws, who most of them popped out a little girl, and every single one of my cousins got taught crochet. And my sister still even crochets to this day. But I'm the only one that like didn't just pick it up and appease her. I took to it and I was like, tell me more. How does this work? What does it do? What can I do with it? And one of my big reasons for loving it was because I could see that you could create these amazing stuffed animals from it.
Mhm.
And I was that kid that always got told, oh, we have it at home. Right? You want McDonald's? Oh, we got McDonald's at home. And it's like some soggy chicken nuggets from Superstore that really aren't that great. But sure, mom, we've got McDonald's at home. So I became very resourceful, and I was into all the weird and nerdy things that my mom didn't want to spend money on. So I learned to make them. And like, it's the same reason I learned to sew, because there wasn't the fashion availability that I liked. So I learned how to sew my own. It was all about, I want this and I can't buy it, so I'm going to learn how to make it.
There is so much gold in being resourceful, right? And it is the foundation of arts and culture. And I find it just absolutely, it just makes my whole heart warm that you have published patterns. I don't know what all is involved in order to get that done. But to know that you've created a standard that other, grandmas and granddaughters and, people of all walks of life can go and enjoy, I just think is such a success. So just a massive congratulations to you to be able
Thank
to do
you.
that. Yeah, absolutely. So what is your favorite, like, because when we're talking about crocheting, like you're actually quite extreme with it. Like I've seen some of your work and it's pretty extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so what's your favorite thing? What is your favorite pattern?
I don't know if I could pick just one. Um, I have a few that I constantly return to. I love to make them. I have one that actually was like a Advent event last year, that the reason I love it is because it's from Hocus Pocus, and it's the book. And that's one of my favorite movies as a kid. And then I also have some freeform projects that I've done that I absolutely love. Like I did a weighted octopus that was 20 pounds and 13 inches tall and absolutely massive. And I loved it. And there wasn't really a pattern to follow for it. I did a really, really big Mario character for my nephew. It was 2.5 feet tall, like so big I could not mail it. It had to go in the front seat of a car and be driven from BC to Alberta. And I loved it. I still show it off to this day. If I had to pick a favorite pattern that I have personally written, ooh, it would probably be my upcoming secret project.
You don't have to drop the exclusive here if you don't want to. Like we can wait.
It's a Neopet. I will give that much. It's for a nostalgic crochet along event in the new year. So we'll reveal all the patterns and all the fun then. And then after the event, people will be able to buy the pattern. But yeah, it's probably one of my favorites because it was one of the Neopets I constantly played as a kid. But yeah, I think picking one favorite pattern is difficult. It's a lot of specific to the nerdy culture, and that's what I love. That is my bread and butter, is the nerdy, witchy, offbeat makes. Like I've got an upcoming order for Five Nights at Freddy's that I'm super excited for, and I can't wait for that pattern to drop. I've got a Ouija board that is almost 20,000 crochet stitches that hangs in my living room that I absolutely love, and it's my favorite thing to show off. And then I've got a giant planter that it's crochet, but on top of it, I've crocheted a bunch of roses and vines, and it is this massive thing, and I love it. I truly love it. And I still show it off, but there was no pattern. I just free formed it all.
We need to collab on like a weighted, like a stress relief weighted something,
Hmm.
something rather. Like as you said, the octopus, I was like, there's got to be a
Well, and
massive space for that.
not not a lot of crochet artists do dip into the weighted stuffed animals because it's hard to keep that amount of weight and not break your yarn. You've got to be
Okay.
very careful about how you do it. And then you get the other sensory makes. Like I have a whole line of fidgets that is another designer's patterns, but they are different objects with beads on them and you can spin the beads. And then I've got different ones that are like pop toys that you can like sit there and pop the top of. And then I've got other ones that are just little worry creatures. Actually, I have one right here that's just
Yeah.
like this tiny little empty sack of knotted yarn that you just sit and fidget with. But I actually have a whole bunch of what I like to call mental health first aid makes of like fidget toys because they help in crisis, whether it be a crisis of I need to use or a crisis of I don't want to be on this earth anymore, or just I'm having an anxiety attack and I need to get through the next 20 minutes and still be breathing. There is science behind the fidgeting, and
Mhm.
it is something I'm proud to bring to my business is a variety of fidget toys for all ages. All ages. There is no, in my opinion, age limit on needing to get that nervous energy out.
Hmm. Yeah, happy mental healthy. Yeah, absolutely. I'm so fascinated by it. I love any sort of like alternative to the standard. I mean, the standard unfortunately isn't really working clearly. We are
It
100%
doesn't.
in full-blown crisis, and anyone that wants to address it as anything less than that really needs to go for a walk down a main street in any small town because it is bad. It's everywhere. And so to know that there is like this super wholesome alternative that people can go to and have is just lovely. Where can people go to purchase?
Right now, I am in one retail location in Courtney,
Hmm.
this and that on 14th Street for those local to the Valley.
Yep.
Other than that, I honestly just run off Instagram or Facebook, and you can find me under Solos Nerd Hut on either. I take custom orders, anything on the website, minus the Mario character is repeatable.
Yeah.
Um, and I love creating yarn for any reason. But my favorite is the most wholesome reasons. Like I have one very near and dear story to me about a customer from last year, actually, and they found me through my Facebook Marketplace ads. They found a face hugger from the Alien or Predator movies. I'm not sure which,
Yeah.
um, but it was one of the little face eater things, and she bought it. She needed it. And I ran into her a few months later and she let me in on that this little silly piece of yarn magic had become something so much more for her and her boyfriend. It became a part of their day and they started hiding it to play little jokes on each other and scare each other. And it brought them together in a way that they hadn't been able to be together before. And it brought them a new sense of laughter and lightheartedness. And that is my goal with my yarn magic is to bring people some sort of lightness and laughter and beauty to this absolutely chaotic world because there is chaos everywhere you look, but there is also beauty to be had if you know where to look for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to take this opportunity to say that the links that people can use to go and find your beautiful products are in the comment section. And just to say hi to everybody, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Those links are there for you. Please utilize them. Go and check out all the really cool stuff. I mean, it's the Christmas season, so if you guys don't know where this and that is in the Comox Courtney area, Google it because it'll be worth your while for sure. That's such a unique and amazing gift that you could give somebody that nobody else will have. And not that it's about the gift giving, but if you could, come across something that's as thoughtful and therapeutic as that, yeah, we want to know about it. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's really exciting. I love that you've found a way to include arts and culture into therapy, and you've also been able to do it on a scale that allows us as a community to go in and check it out. I also want to take advantage of this time. I did see a couple of comments about feeling like nobody's listening, and we are all here in this space together. But once we leave here, that I can understand why, we come across feeling like that. It is flippin' tough, especially with seasonal changes, and everybody's busy, and it's really easy to start feeling isolated and things like that. So if anybody is feeling alone, take advantage of the comment section to talk to each other. You can always use the Pinecase warm line. It's 250-289-3948. You can text in with your name and location, and we'll get the resources in your area, but we'll also just hang out and chat throughout the evening if that's what you need or what you want. We have a wonderful team of volunteers that are always there, available and ready. So I can, it's tough, but we are in this.
It is.
We are in this
in a
together.
world full of social media, we've become a very unsocial people, and I think that needs to change. Social media was there to make connections, not create fake identities. And that is one thing I do pride myself on, is you will find very raw and real posts all over my social medias, not just oh, close for business, but there's the reasons why. Like when I went to testify in a court of law against a cousin for all of the abuse I've been through, I put that up on my social medias, and I don't owe that explanation to any of my followers, but giving them that explanation gives them a connection. Yeah. And it gives them that place of maybe somebody will listen. And it's like I said earlier, don't tell someone, tell everyone. Tell everyone. You're feeling lonely, post it as a status on Facebook, because you never know who's going to be there to show up for you, If you don't give people the opportunity to know you're struggling, they don't get the opportunity to show up for you. And I've learned something very beautiful throughout this year, and that's the phrase, let them show up for you. Let them know you're hurting. Let them help you. If you let them, they can. But if you never give them that opportunity, if you don't tell them, they don't know. So don't tell someone. Tell everyone.
Tell everyone. When you said that to me earlier today, I was just like, wait, did you just solve like a bunch of problems? You just solved a whole bunch of problems. We're told like call #988, like they're professional and they'll get for suicide prevention, which please call that number. It like they do know what they're doing, but there's keep going after that, or keep going before that, or like sound the alarms, yell it in the street.
Don't just call the professionals, call your family, call your friends, tell your coworkers, because it's not just, oh, I'm not feeling good. It's, I need you, and them showing up for you. And I've had some very beautiful souls find me on various parts of my journey. And every time that they tell I'm struggling, they hook into that. Let us be there for you. Tell us. And it should be that way for everyone, but it's not. And it's unfortunate. So when you run into that of, oh, I'm too busy, that's when the tell someone turns into tell everyone,
Mm-hmm.
because there might be a crisis on their end that they are dealing with and they don't have the space. But if you tell everyone, you've got a wider net, you're going to catch more fish, you know?
Yeah. You know what? It's so interesting. I actually had a situation where I know I could have done more for somebody who didn't reach out to me through Pinecase, but like in my personal life. And it's interesting because like the minute that I was like, oh, I just don't have the room in this moment because I was also dealing with something of my own. Um, but immediately I was like, okay, so who do I contact then to like send them over to them? You know what I mean? Like, how do I do
Mm-hmm.
that? But I also think that so it kind of goes two ways. It's like not only like if you're in that situation to let everybody know, but also without being sneaky and deceitful and shaming, but also like
Mm-hmm.
if you can't do that for somebody, be honest about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
look, I don't have the time today. I'm so sorry. I'm also da da da. But look, if you give me a bit of, if you give me a couple of minutes, let me see if I can get a hold of so and so, or hey, like, how can I help you get a hold of so and so, or whatever, right? Because a lot of the times we have these moments. Obviously, Pinecase is different because we have a warm line set up for everybody. But I come
Mm-hmm.
across people just like in the street, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hold on, I got both my kids attached to me, like, and I'm gumping through the streets with my groceries or something. I'm like, whoa, okay, well, hold on a second here. How can we deal with this? And so I like that idea that it's not it's not just about like passing a note off to one person and hoping that the game of telephone, you know, at some point gets them to a safe space, but like ringing the bells in the middle of the street and
Mm-hmm.
causing that, like, we have a responsibility to each other, we have a duty to each other, but we also have a responsibility to ourselves to make sure that like we're not sitting in silence and we're not, being quiet about it, and that we are, it's frustrating because as I'm saying, like, ringing the alarm, and then I'm like, "Oh, but then you were dismissed as crazy." But the more people that do it and the more we talk about mental health and the more that we advocate for ourselves and each other, the stigma starts slowly going away and people look less and less terrifying. People look less and less
The
ill.
more alarms somebody raised, the less crazy people can make them. And the perfect example is bringing my cousin to justice. I told someone when I was a kid when it first started,
Mhm.
and they didn't believe me. And then I told somebody again in adulthood, and they didn't believe me. And then I went even further. I told my mom and I told his dad, and they looked at me and they said, "You're crazy."
Yeah.
And I stopped telling people for a few years. And then I connected with another girl who unfortunately survived my cousin too. And we started sharing our story. And it became tell everyone, bring the monsters to the light, and they can't crazy make us. And they tried. They tried hard as heck. They even threw out legal blocks and pulled out a defamation case. Like,
Mhm.
absolute insanity. Hollywood writers could not come up with the insanity. But the more people we told, the more people couldn't look away. And it became even more when I had to go and give a video statement, because it wasn't just the Calgary police involved. I lived in BC at that point. We had to bring in the RCMP. And once again, there was new eyes. There was more eyes. And people couldn't shove us to the back burner because there was a whole different set of eyes. The more people you tell, the less crazy they can make you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, we just have to be there for each other. It's so
Hmm.
fundamental. It's just so fundamental. And, I'm sorry that you went through that. Obviously, my stories don't really fix anything. But I admire your your courage because to not only post it on your social media as being like, we're not in business today because we have shit to do, boys and girls, I think is just oh my gosh. Says a lot about your character, but it also in itself is
I
advocating.
I gave full transparency
Mhm.
on the case. I even posted the day the verdict came in. I
Wow.
posted that we got the guilty verdict, and then the day of sentencing, I again, and it was a really big day for me. It was the anniversary of my reporting, like 4 years to the exact day I reported he got put in jail. And it was a very, very impactful day. And I did put that up on my social media that, like, hey, I'm not going to be around because I've just gone through the fight of a lifetime and I've won. And that's amazing. But now I got to find out how I can breathe, how I can be at peace again and just be. And I firmly believe that being transparent about that brings down the stigma for other survivors to be like, no, leave me alone. I just need to be. And
Yeah, I
I will
freaking
advocate for that till I'm blue in the face.
yeah,
Let
and you
survivors be.
know what? The other part that drives me absolutely nuts is people who are navigating children and family
Hmm.
cases, like with the same tenacity and the same ferociousness. Like, stop living in fear of whoever you're in court with. I understand that obviously divorces are disgusting and they're very ugly and they're very heartbreaking and they're exhausting and there's children
But the
involved and we're trying to save
fear
face.
makes it worse.
The living in fear because somebody might like, oh my gosh, like, no, the whole point of being separated is for the person to not have that
Hmm.
power over you. So how
Hmm.
can we continue down these roads of allowing these person who you have asked to leave your life to still be in such a control position? I from the mountaintops, I'm like, can we please stop living underneath each other? Like, can we stop
Well,
worrying
and
about who drives by for what
I
reason? Who
think
cares?
that is where I get kind of like a little bit of a unique experience because I did go through a custody battle with my first and
Mhm.
essentially a common law divorce. Like there's no
Right.
paperwork for a common law divorce. But in Canada, after you have a kid with that person, you're considered married.
Yeah,
And
you
it
still have to have
was
a separation agreement, right?
technically you don't need to unless you have kids or
Oh,
shared
okay.
assets. And then you got to go into court and deal with all of that. But we had a kid. So
Mhm.
we went through court and I had social services involved, rightfully so, on myself. I was in active addiction. They should have been involved. Thanks to MCFD, I got sober. Like
Mhm.
MCFD isn't, the end to all of our problems, but
No.
for some people, they can be the key. And they didn't just get me sober, but they taught me how to go through a custody battle without fear. And the second time around, when it came time for an actual, now I need to get divorced from the second baby daddy, MCFD helped me escape. And because of all of the support they had given me in the first domestic violence situation, I get to go into court a little more confident and a little less fearful of what might happen because I've already been there. I already know. And truth be told, I lost my first custody battle. My son lives in Ontario with his dad full time. I get to see him a few times on FaceTime every week. I've already had my worst fear come true when it comes to a custody battle.
Yeah.
I'm not going into the second one with that same fear, and it makes it a lot easier. It does. When you leave the fear at the door, you can think logically. You can be the person that digs through the Family Law Act yourself to find, points A, B, and C, bar him from rights A, B, and C because of Z, Y, and X.
Mhm.
And when you don't have that fear, you can put that logic and that drive to protect not just your own peace, but your children's peace through that divorce. Because even the most peaceful, most beautiful divorces where, everybody's having Christmas the next day at grandma's house,
Mhm.
the kids still have effect. There is still trauma on the children because you have separated the family, no matter how peaceful that separation is. And when you're able to take that fear out of your own, oh, what is going to happen? What am I going to do? What if this happens? You're able to show up for your children in a different way. And it can be the difference between your kids going to therapy for a few weeks to deal with mom and dad not sharing a house anymore
Yeah.
to your kid winding up in addiction because mom and dad were at each other's throat, tearing at each other their entire life. You know, it goes so much deeper than just your fear. Your fear affects everyone. And when you take fear out of the picture, there is energy to put into the drive to protect people.
Yeah. I think people get caught up in the financial piece of it, right? They're like, well, if I
Mhm.
lose this, then I'm going to lose that. And it's just like, dude, that is not the worst thing that could happen, right? Like there
And
is.
you know, that's another benefit to my divorce was when I left my second baby daddy, I had $10 in my bank account.
Mhm.
I had absolutely nothing. I thought I had a house over my head. Few weeks after I left him, they kicked me out and I lost all of my possessions. Like I left that house with my clothes on my back and my kids' clothes on his back. We didn't get his diapers, we didn't get his formula, we didn't get my clothes, my food, nothing.
Yeah.
And I built back from the ground up on social assistance, and I have no shame of that. I am on disability and I do pay my bills for that.
Mhm.
No shame. I
Mhm.
built myself up, but I had the supports in place that, like, you know, my friends knew I was $5 short. They'd send me $5. They'd, you know, pick me up a pack of Itchy Band while they were at the grocery. It wasn't that big of a show of support, but each little show of support allowed me to build my foundation that much stronger.
Mhm.
And, you know, it did give me a really unique view of, yeah, it's hard to leave with kids. It is. But sometimes it is a lot easier to pick up those pieces when you're not dealing with a man child as well.
Yeah. Well, and the same could be said for like for dudes. I wish men would spend more time learning their rights as well because this conversation
Goes
unfortunately
both ways.
goes both ways. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like the way that we tear each
absolutely.
other up is like it's so heinous, right? Like and I
I think
frustratingly say maybe
more men
so.
need to sit down with the Family Law Act before they even have kids, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Sit
maybe
down
so.
with your teen boys and teach them what
Mhm.
rights they have as a dad.
Yep.
Because there are still to this day, you know, teen pregnancies that happen and the girls' parents go, "Oh, you don't have any rights because you're a teen boy. Go away." And then they adopt that baby out, or they raise that baby as their own, or they convince the baby they got a different daddy. Like I've seen so many
Oh,
situations
the
of parents
the
that are
grandmas, man.
capable
The grandmas
of
that
of
come through and
oh,
scoop up the child tax and that like
it's so bad.
anyways, yeah, it's wild. The things that yeah, the standards that people just are cool with but I think that I appreciate what you're saying because it's like we have a duty as moms to like teach our sons to be more vigilant about things like that and then in turn like, you know, with their knowledge, then they can support their partners better. And
Mhm.
hopefully, we don't end up in situations like yourself where you're trying to save yourself and your kids and get out of these like hectic
Mhm.
situations. Like if we focus our efforts on the youth, but with a special little twinkle towards the boys, I feel like I don't know, as a society, we might actually have a flipping chance because if we can teach our boys
It
how to
yeah.
be kind and understanding and empathetic, then we have homes. I don't think we give boys enough credit. I think that you know, young ladies, there's this expectation, whether they're 16 or 36 or whatever, and it's their job to create a comfortable space for the kids. And we don't expect the same of our men. Although,
Mhm.
when she flails and the bottom falls out, and it will, and he is left there trying to pick up the pieces, and he's got a mom in his ear being like, well, you need to go after this, and you need to take this kid, and you need to shut down visitation, and she's totally off her like, we need to stop that shit, pardon my language, as a society and start with the preemptive, hey, how do we show you your wealth? How do we show you
Mhm.
how to support your partner? How do we show you how for you to be responsible about what your home and your household
Mhm.
feels like? And you know what? Maybe you do carry the load when it comes to the financial burden of a family because you know, we're still in Canada. We're in North America. It's a blue collar um it's a blue collar supported
Mhm.
society,
Well,
which is great.
and there is more men in trades than there is women, and it's
Totally.
a hard space to be in. A lot of women go in and they're like, yeah, I'm fucking amazing. And then they get beaten down
Yeah.
by all the shitty rhetorics that go around
Right.
the blue collar places. And I
So
think if we taught our sons earlier that, hey, you respect everyone and here's your responsibility as a human, and even take the gender out of it. It's not about your responsibility as a man, but your responsibility as a human to show up and be there. And we need to teach our girls different too. There are different lessons that girls need to be taught because, our generation, we got taught girls get the flowers, they get the fancy dates, the men open the car door, like the men take care of the wife. We got told happy wife, happy life. And
which
it
I'm
shouldn't be
totally
that.
cool with if she is like in there and the kids are happy and there's dinner. Like, I'm not trying to be like so old school that it's like it's crazy, but
Which,
we have missed
but
the flipping mark, man. We have missed
why
the mark.
can't
Like,
your man get a thing of roses once in a while? Like,
dude,
and
yeah,
it should be normalized that
yeah.
men should get flowers and men should get the ability to take a 45-minute shower if they want. Like, men should be able to have those luxuries and not be shamed. And I think that's where the conversation needs to be had with the girls is, hey, if you want these things, happy spouse, happy house, my
There you
friend.
go. Yes, yes.
Start showing up. If you want queen treatment, give king treatment. And I think with that message of happy spouse, happy house, we would change the generation. There wouldn't be this, oh, well, it's the man's job and it's the woman's job. It would be,
He's not
it's
doing
the
this for me.
spouse's
She's not
job,
showing up the way she should, and these kids have been missing
right?
school, and I'm like,
And like,
oh my God, leave that shit at the door and just support each other,
your
man.
wife should be able to go and change your oil just as you should be able to go in the kitchen and cook her dinner. Like, it should be equal. And yeah, I rely on my partner for a lot of things in life. But if he wasn't there, I could do them 100% myself. And
Right.
that's where I think, just in general, kids need more lessons on, we don't need trigonometry in school. We need how to change your oil. We need home economics back in school with cooking and baking. And, some kids even need help learning how to properly clean because they don't come from houses that have those proper cleanliness techniques. And then you grow up and you've got these kids that live in these squalor because they were never taught different.
But don't you think
School,
even just being able to do those things then in turn brings about, like, so for example, like if you like, I know how to change my own oil. I can change my tires. I can sort my
mhm,
car out. I know where my windshield washer fluid goes. But when it's done for me, like when it's done for me, I appreciate it. I'm like, oh, thank
mhm,
God. It doesn't become an expectation. It's like, oh, I appreciate you doing that. In the same way that if our young, if the dudes know how to cook food and like clean their bathroom,
mhm.
when she does it or whatever, when she does it, then they're like, oh, that's like, thank you for doing that. I know what
I
that feels
I
like, and I
could have
know
done
how
that, but
I could have
now I
done
don't have to.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's like the more we teach both sides to do both things, the more they'll come to appreciate
Mhm,
each other for doing them. If we live in this society where it very much is like the man and the wife, and obviously this is a bigger conversation because we're here for everybody. But
mhm.
in this specific conversation, which is tearing up our it's tearing up our babies. Like, I don't know what has happened, but the men go up to the patch and the women stay at home and start doing drugs and and he
It's
comes back to no
yeah.
family, and then there's this nasty divorce, and then these kids don't know what is going on or who their mom's hanging out with, and then he comes in, snatches up the kids, and now she's got no access and she's in rehab, and he is going to his mom or her mom trying to raise these babies. And when I say that that is literally everyone, it like it's not the mental health is not the same conversation that it used to be, the
No.
people that are struggling on the streets is not it's not the same climate, does not look the same. And unfortunately we just don't have we just can't allow it to keep going because it's this oh my God, these benzos and these fentanyl and all this crap, it's
Well, and
not
a lot
this
of
thing.
it,
There isn't room for recreational drug use
yeah,
anymore. It's like,
the
dude, you're
you
forfeiting your brain,
can't
period.
y
Like,
we can't dabble anymore. You
No.
are losing brain cells because
Yeah.
of the drugs. But
Yeah.
it also goes even further with like what you said about the obvious mental health crisis.
Mhm.
We have gone from a country and a climate of, oh, you're different, you get locked in a mental institution, to, oh, you're different, you just get no help.
Yeah.
And instead of having all these people locked in traumatic facilities that, like, even in the 90s, mental health wards were not the same place they are now. And they're not great now, but
No.
they were worse, and they were a lot easier to throw someone in there involuntarily.
Well,
And
and we might be
it's
getting back to that. Like Manitoba just mandated, like, so if you're visibly intoxicated, the same way that like you couldn't be drinking in the street, that you would get like a 24 hour.
there is, I think, a delicate balance that
Mhm.
there should be, that, okay, well, you aren't in a space to interact with society in a good way. We're going to take you and we're going to put you over here, and you can choose your path from here. You can choose to go and learn to make better choices and learn to choose recovery, or you can go and go to jail. And I do think there needs to be those systems put in place. And the biggest advocacy I have for that is Portugal. Portugal has dealt with addiction in the best way, in my opinion. They decriminalized it, but they also brought in all those supports of forced rehab, of, you go to jail or you go to rehab, and it's not actually forcing the person to do anything they don't want, but it's giving them the choice of,
It's like mandated
you
recovery.
can have these really terrible conditions and
Mhm.
like hate your life, or and just a crazy thought, you can go and live a somewhat comfortable life and learn how to make better choices. And
But
it's not.
we do have that in Canada. The problem is not that we don't have that, because we do have the like conditional releases, which is if you're female, that's the standard. Like you're not going to jail. You could
Mhm.
have
Nope.
50 charges and you're still not going. Like they're gonna put you on conditional release. I actually have, to the point where like the lawyers are like, do you do drugs? No? Shit. Okay, well, maybe you should tell them you do drugs, because
Yeah.
if you do drugs, then we have someone to work with here. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Are you having a mental health crisis? You're not? Okay, but maybe you should
it,
tell them that you are, so that way it's like,
it
so there
it's
is.
funny. My cousin actually tried to use his addiction history and
Mhm,
his mental health as reasons to why he should get a conditional sentence. And the judge
right.
laughed at him and said, no, what you did is absolutely horrendous and you're going to jail. Have
Mhm.
a good day. We'll see you in 6 years.
Yeah, wow,
But
congratulations.
there is that part of me that wonders if he was offered a better way, is it possible that when he gets out, he could be a better human?
Right, and that's where we're missing something, right? Because it's like, okay, he's gonna be locked away for 6 years, but he's gonna be exactly the same person when he gets out, if not maybe
If not
worse,
worse.
because of the interactions that he's having,
Hmm.
right? And so what are the options for him in there? And what does therapy look like? It doesn't look like anything in there, right? So if there is something that's mandated, what would that look like? The problem right now is that it's like the mandated conditional release. Yeah, Amber, they are conditional sentences is like probation, but you have to do something in the meantime. So say you
Hmm.
get 18 months of like probation, you have to go say to counseling every 2 weeks for an hour, or you have to do 30 hours of community service
A
or something like
lot
that. Yeah,
of
and it's
DUIs get conditional sentencing. You can be out, but you have to go to AA. And
right.
I think that brings in a whole other gap that people can fall in, is the recovery models of getting stuck in those routine. And even I got stuck in it. I went to meetings, various types, AA, NA, CA,
Mhm.
any A available in my town. There was a point where I was going to 6 meetings a day. I would go from one meeting, get in my car, and go to another meeting. And all I did all day long was meetings. And they were great. They helped me. They got me sober. They taught me the tools, but that's all they taught me. They didn't tell me what comes next. How do you stay sober? And one of my favorite things comes from one of my friends that I met in rooms was, while you're in here working out your recovery, your addiction is out in the parking lot doing push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And as strong as that recovery gets, that relapse also gets, because as much as you put effort in, there is that much farther to fall back. And it's true. Well, you're working your recovery, your addiction is also working out, waiting for you to make the next wrong choice. And
But this is why I strongly believe that. So obviously, the fellowship is like the biggest system. It is the biggest recovery model, and although it is not federal, it might as well be, because it is the standard. Like when people are like, "Oh, you're in recovery. Oh, do you go to?" I'm like, no. So I think we need to blow the doors off those spaces a little bit, and get rid of the anonymous piece of it, and allow the outside version of you and the AA version of you interact a little bit more. Like if your addiction is right outside those doors, then you don't have a system in place. Once you've left that space, is you're no longer safe. So instead of leading with da 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 and I'm an addict, it's like we need to lead, well, and I'm not going to tell people how to do the recovery. I'm just saying, for me, it's like I need to know how to be in life again. I need to like be reminded of like what having a employment looks and feels like, and interacting with somebody at the grocery store looks and feels like, and like all of those things. Like we need to blow the doors off and be done with
and it
that.
goes
that space.
Even further than that. Like, yeah, AA got me sober.
Yeah,
but I also know people that AA push them further to drink. Like AA is not the only way to recover. And I think that is a really important message for people to hear. There's a million ways to work your recovery, and all that matters is it works for you. It doesn't matter if your dad's cousin's brother said that doesn't work, or your AA sponsor says that's stupid. If it's keeping you sober, it's your recovery working. And that is all that matters, is your recovery and you staying sober, you getting through the next 24/7.
Well, and I guess
what other people think of it, none of your business.
I guess that's maybe where the important part of the conversation comes, which is that obviously if you use a fellowship or you know, fantastic. Those spaces are the standard for a reason. But if you're not, and you're doing something else, that's cool too. Like that's okay too. I mean, Skylar Ray, he's on the podcast quite a bit. He is quite open about the fact that he has actually used music as his sole tool of how to navigate his recovery. And he's done it in such a way that he's created meetings out of performing on stage, much like myself. I mean, this is a meeting. I don't care what anybody says. It's
a way of fellowship.
I know that every Tuesday, I mean, it's Wednesday tonight, but every Tuesday I have to show up for myself, for the community. We're all in here together. We get to, you know, shoot the shit and talk about the hard things and talk about the good things and talk about all this stuff and interact with each other. And so, yeah, meetings don't necessarily have to look like meetings. It can look like a crochet circle. Like, what is that called when you guys, right? It can look like that.
We call it bitch and stitch.
Yeah, bitch and stitch. Amazing.
Yep.
Like, amazing, right? And so I think, you know, we need to start promoting some more of these spaces like that and normalizing these things. Calico talks about it all the time. She's like, dude, I just want to have like an art studio where everyone can come and hang out and drink tea and talk about like herbal things that work and alternative medicines and natural path stuff, and like while I like sell candles and shit. And I'm like, sounds great.
Sounds epic. Well, count me in.
Yeah, like, awesome. When are we opening? Like, I'm there. Like, that sounds great, you know? And so, but it's wild because it's easy for us to talk about those things, but they've always been kind of looked at as like these like hippie spaces, and they're super alternative, and oh my God, like
hippie dippy magic that doesn't work. And
what do you mean you eat mushrooms? What kind of mushrooms? I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like I don't even see.
But like there's science behind taking chaga mushrooms, or, you know, I don't know all the different types of mushrooms, but I know chaga is a really big one that, like, yeah, sure, you can call it hippy dippy science all you want, but there is science there. At the end of the day, it's proven to better, you know, I think it's mental health. It helps, but whatever it helps, there's been research and science and time and energy, and maybe not in the conventional, gone through the university studies, but there has been that even cultural medicine knowledge put behind it, that it does need to have a space at the table. I firmly believe that any way somebody can recover and find peace in mental health is important. And I would be what they call California sober because I do smoke weed,
Cali
but I
sober.
also
Yeah.
I also take big name pharmaceutical drugs that I do have very strict systems in place to keep me sober because they are benzos, and there is a couple of ones that, like, the number one side effect is can be addictive.
Hmm.
But with my safeguards and my herbal, more hippy dippy medicines, I can lower those pharmaceuticals and I can have less of them in my life. And that is what's important to me because those pharmaceuticals are scary and they always come with that risk of, am I going to end up relapsing?
So
Whereas,
I'm going to be honest with you. My goodness. So the amount of people on SSRIs
mhm,
who have come to me lately and been like, I am also on cordyceps, chaga, this, that, whatever, and I'm starting to feel normal. I'm starting to feel stable. I don't promote the mushroom. So Journey Mushrooms, you guys, it's in the comments. Please go and click on it and go and buy them. Pinecase has got to have we're working on a promo code because I believe in them. I take them every day. I think they're fantastic. But it's amazing to me that now we can have these conversations together, that it's not
mhm,
one or the other. It can very much be both, and that it isn't great to just drop your pharmaceuticals and go straight over to these alternatives if you need those pharmaceuticals to be
mhm,
stable enough to even handle, go and buy these other things. But to be able to have those conversations together, I think is invaluable because it is up to you to create with professionals a system that works for you
mhm.
and that keeps you healthy. And it's wild that, when I heard that they were like prescribing benzos to fentanyl addicts, I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand it. I was like, wait a second, but that's what's like actually in the fentanyl that's
Even
killing everybody.
on my own personal file, it says not to prescribe me benzos because that is one of my DOCs, and they still did
They
because
still
that's
do.
what
Yep.
my mental health needs.
Requires.
And
Yep.
like I will advocate to the ends of the earth, if you need to buy your chemicals for your brain from a store,
Hmm.
buy them from a store.
Hmm.
It
Yep.
doesn't make you less than or a second class citizen in any way.
Yep.
You are not changing anything but leveling the playing field and making it so you can access life and be a part of life.
Hmm.
And
Well,
whether that comes from a store, a dispensary, or a can of mushrooms, people need to be able to access these things without the stigma there.
yeah. Gabapentin is absolutely horrible for you. Yeah, gabapentin,
Uh, yeah,
but gabapentin is like literally the most prescribed drug on the planet. I mean, they pump that shit into the jails in up here in Canada, and I'm sure it's probably the same in the States too.
Seroquel and gabapentin are the two most common prescribed medications that are
Mhm.
unneeded. And what
Yep.
blows people's mind is, like, I know a lot of people that were in recovery houses that got prescribed Seroquel for sleep.
Yeah.
It's an antipsychotic.
Yes.
Why are we prescribing people antipsychotics for them to go to sleep?
Well, we could get into that, but we don't need to. But I mean,
It it
so so they're
it
obviously like they perform two different things, which is I guess what's neat about the pharmaceutical world. And I appreciate it for that because a lot of things that were tested for one thing
have
also
the
do really well.
benefits of other side
Mm.
effects.
Right. And if we were going to use like if we wanted to flip that conversation, we could say like ketamine is one of those things, right?
Mhm.
ketamine has, it's marketed as horse tranquilizer. However, in a microdosing setting,
You can even go for ketamine
an
therapy in
antidepressant.
Canada now. Like
Yeah,
it's a valid mental health treatment.
yeah.
And like if
Actually, I learned
if
about
it's
it today. Like
necessary,
the
people absolutely should be able to access those therapies, whether it's the intended use or a side effect. But a lot of times, especially in recovery houses, they're using it as band-aids,
yeah.
and they're switching addictions.
Mhm.
Instead of street drugs, now they need that Seroquel in their life 24/7. And it's harsh consequences for people that shouldn't have ever had them because they didn't need those meds in the first place.
Well, and that's what makes me frustrated because it took me a minute to figure out what made me comfortable and stable enough to live life. Obviously, like
Mhm.
I joke that horses are cheaper than heroin, and that is very true. I mean, I don't talk about it a lot on my page, but you know, they are a lot cheaper than heroin.
Yeah.
Um, but on that, in life, it's like I've seen some weird shit, and I've seen people be stable on benzos, even though it was their DOC, um, in the right setting,
Mhm.
get off the rest of their DOCs, stable, and then turn to other things and live very healthy lives, right? And so I'm
Mhm.
speaking from experience. Benzos are not something that I hang out with very often, but in a detox setting that wasn't successful, it was overprescribed to the point where a person was, like, drooling and flailing, and I'm like, "Okay, you got them off of this one thing, you got them off of fentanyl, but that's not stable. You're not them leaving right now is not stable,
Yeah.
and so it's really scary. I don't think it necessarily should be left up to the person to decide on their own. I think there needs to be a lot of conversation with professionals to get to a place that makes sense, but I do think that there should be more of a conversation and not just trust the first opinion, that comes along. Like, I don't think that it's a good idea to trust the first doctor who's like, "Here, take this, take this, take this," or
No,
whatever. It took me
absolutely
a
not. I agree with that.
you know, it
There should be, and again, I think it goes back to like school. There should be a mandatory starting in like grade 5, in my opinion, mental health, mental wellness. These are what can happen, and here is how you prevent it, and here's how you support your friends that have it. Like,
Mhm.
there are so many people that have mental health that need support, but nobody knows how to because nobody got taught how to.
Yeah.
And if we brought it back into the schools, we wouldn't just teach the kids that are falling behind and flailing under that ocean of mental health. We would teach their friends, and then their friends would know how to show up. And if we even brought it further and taught them a little bit about the treatments that are available, we would have knowledgeable kids going into these adult situations that, bipolar, for example, is one that
Mhm.
doesn't present until later in life. And if you teach them younger what signs to watch for in their friends, maybe you don't have that house party with 5 people being unalived by somebody with mental health issues. You,
Frick,
you,
schizophrenia, like 80% male,
mhm,
25
yep,
to 45. Like, I'm a boy mom, I take a lot of pride in that. When I heard those numbers, I was like, "Oh my goodness, wait a second. How come no one's talking about this? How come no one is talking about the signs of schizophrenia and what to look for?" And
mhm,
maybe that person that um looks like a drug addict is actually self-medicating to deal with their schizophrenia symptoms. Maybe that psychosis that you're looking at is actually psychosis and not just somebody
mhm.
having, like, a mental breakdown or a mental health crisis, or they'll be fine.
Or
It's like
somebody high and hallucinating, like it's
yeah,
actual,
yeah,
schizophrenic psychosis. And it's
yeah,
it's not just schizophrenia that you can have that. Bipolar does it too. And like schizophrenia, bipolar, and borderline personality disorder are some of the scariest mental health disorders, in my opinion, but they are also the most under researched, the most under discussed, and the most misdiagnosed,
yeah,
because it is very easy to misdiagnose them. And that's another another key point to bring it back to schools when they're young. And then the people that want to go into that field have more of a foundational knowledge to build off of once they're in university. It's not a brand new world of, psychology 101, because everybody took psych 101 in high school,
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's like, maybe that's the other part of the conversation that we're missing, right? It's like we all talk, people are comfortable talking about drug addiction, or maybe a little bit more comfortable talking about drug addiction or alcoholism or this or that or whatever, but we really should be starting to promote the symptoms a little bit more and having conversations about what that looks like and why, and
Yeah.
how do we talk about it? Where do you go? Where do you send people? Because I'm not even sure if I know where to send people. I know, suicide prevention's hashtag 988. Okay, cool, we got that. You know what I mean? Addiction, we can find, detox if that's what you need, or a recovery house or whatever. We can get you.
But that's where it ends. Like,
But
there
where do
isn't.
we send somebody who is showing signs of who's showing signs of
In Canada, there is nowhere. You go to your family doctor and you get referred to a most likely publicly funded, overcrowded psychiatrist for a diagnosis, which if you live in BC, you're waiting over 3 years for these days.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be so many systems put into place for the kids so they don't have the same pitfalls we faced as adults.
So I guess our responsibility then, to our communities is to educate ourselves and create programs that we can take into the schools. I mean, the schools, that's the one nice thing about Canada, is that there's actually a lot of space for outside programming to come in. I've been doing public speaking in schools since I was in grade 11, actually. And that's never changed. I was pushed into it by a grade 10 cap teacher, Mrs. Kelly, may she rest in peace. And so that is the one nice thing about the school system in Canada, is there is a lot of space for us to come in and talk. And I think we have a duty to ourselves and to our kids and to our elders too, because I mean, if everyone else is happy, then they're being taken care of as well, is to come in and talk about what these situations look like, and that maybe the crisis that you're looking at isn't actually what you think it is, right? Or that it's not,
or even,
or it's
the
still
subtle
occurring. Maybe there's
signs
good things happening.
that
Yeah.
nobody sees leading up to it. Like, I know for me and my bipolar, one of the first signs that I'm about to go through a massive mental mess around is I will get impulsive with my spending. So that friend that's bad with money, are they bad with money, or is there undiagnosed mental health conditions?
Yeah.
That friend that's constantly canceling the plans, are they antisocial, or is there undiagnosed agoraphobia there? Like, there are a lot of judgments instead of, is there mental health we need to be more aware of? And I think that's one of the things that our generation is getting right, is we are paying attention to, those subtle signs. We are aware that, hey, mental health is everywhere. Everybody struggles with mental health. It's not, just that weird aunt that comes around once at Christmas and talks to herself. It's that uncle that sits in the chair smiling with everybody and laughing, and inside his head, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be alive. It's Robin Williams making everybody laugh. Everybody loved him. He was a comedic genius. In the end, he took his own life.
Yeah.
It's not about showing up in the crisis. It's about showing up before there's a crisis. And I think that is one thing our generation is getting right with our kids, is we are a generation full of kids that got taught kids should be seen, not heard.
Yeah.
And we're raising our kids, children should be heard and seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And put on a pedestal and part of the conversation and supported.
Mhm.
And like, I am unapologetically absolutely an obnoxious mother when it comes to sport. Like on the basketball court, I'm flipping loud and annoying. Like, you know what? Learn how to coach. I'll come and coach. Like, I'm in there,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. Get her going. Like, like I always take pictures and like, oh, check this out. Look at your form. Like, I don't care if he's ever professional. That has nothing to do with it. We're in the here and we're in the now. And I might not have
And
another chance to be unapologetic with it. Like,
whether he becomes professional with his sport or not, one day he's gonna look back at that cheesy cell phone snapshot that you took and go, that was a core memory. I remember that day. I remember mom looking a fool in the
yeah,
stands, but I
God rest
remember her look of
yeah.
pride.
Mm-hmm.
And one day they are going to look back and see that behind all that embarrassing nonsense that we do as parents is pride.
Mm-hmm.
And that is important for kids to feel that their parents are proud of them.
Yeah. And we can start with ourselves. We need to be proud of
Mhm.
ourselves. We need to learn how to be still, and we need to learn how to be okay with the little things and the big things. And we need to be okay with being ugly and happy and uncomfortable and weird and funky and nerdy and
Mhm.
all of the things. I think I really appreciate you coming on here today and talking about just some really like really relatable, normal people, run of the mill shit that are really extraordinary that have that it's normalized, but it is. It's a society. It's what we're living with. It's what we're dealing with. Thank you for coming on here and speaking your truth and being super transparent and also giving out some really great advice about how we can deal with ourselves and each other
Mhm.
and our kids. I think you're absolutely fantastic person. I commend
Thank you.
your resilience and your tenacity. You're just, yeah, it's been really interesting and really fun. Before we leave, I just want to say, Amber, I seen your comment about ECT. We'll get into that on another day. I don't want to get too much into it because it's very controversial and I think it's a big topic that I want to dedicate some time to. But I think going back and talking about maybe the history of psychology and where we're at now would be definitely worth a look at. So, Sam, thank you
Mhm.
so much for having a conversation that spurred on so many great topics that we can dive into as the season
And
goes on.
just as one little last
Mhm.
asterisk to your point there, if anybody is interested in finding more about mental health in the past, I do highly recommend Carrie Fisher and her books. They delve deep
Yeah.
into mental health and fame and the history of what treatments were available for bipolar and all her other disorders. And I firmly believe that if you are struggling with mental health, please, please look to Carrie Fisher. There are some words of wisdom there. She is more than a goddess in a gold bikini.
Love that so much. Yeah. That's even just letting go of the stigma of it and identifying some of the symptoms and educating yourself and having those ugly conversations with your neighbors and your siblings and your family and your friends
Mhm.
about maybe, these could be a reality in your family and that it's not that weird and you can take each other to those appointments and stuff. So yeah, thank you for the recommendation. Carrie Fisher's amazing. I've actually read some of what you're talking about. And yeah, that's really cool. There's a lot of really beautiful advocates out there.
Mhm.
Definitely one of them. This and that. No, what's the store called? Things and what?
This and that. It's
This
on
and
14th Street next to
that.
Life Labs.
Yeah.
They are also on Facebook. They have a location out in Port Alberni as well.
Hmm.
And they do online auctions as well. They have an online auction group. Please check them out for more than my goodies. They are two truly kind gentlemen, and they support more local artists, not just me.
Very, very cool. Well, there you guys know where to go and get some of your Christmas gifts and some things at this and that. I've thrown the Instagram link back into the comments, so please take advantage of it. Hashtag 988 is going to get you through to the suicide prevention line. Please do not hesitate to call it. Our Pinecase warm line is 250-289-3948. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It might be me, it might not be me, but just put your name and your location in the text so that we can get the resources for your community. And you'll have them when you leave the conversation. Sam Solo, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on this
Thank
Wednesday
you.
evening. Yeah, the pleasure is all ours. You guys take care of each other, stay safe, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Please stay strong.
we stay
The
strong.
further you take my rights away, I'ma run to it, refuse to hear my voice. Speak loud when I spit it, but you don't get it. You just wanna be a side critic. See somebody else showing hate in the side of the road with it. Now how would you feel standing on the sideline and watch the color of a nation deteriorate over time? The flag real high, but compassion 6 feet below. Now you're searching for that justice that decided to never show. Deny my place, I'm back with a trace. Keep up the pace, tight lace, game face, get back in the race. Whatever they did could never be undone. Every dark night ends with the rising of the sun. Squandered every wealth that's built from the mud. Squandered every wealth that's built from the blood. Squandered every wealth that's built in chains. Stolen from the ancestors, running
With
through
the
my
strength
veins.
of 1,000 lion and the strength of 1,000 giant, we stay strong. We stay strong. With the strength of 1,000 elephant and the strength of 1,000 tiger, we stay strong. We stay strong. We stay strong.
I can see, run to the light at the end of the tunnel winner.
We stay strong.
I can't breathe, we're gonna get oxygen without the justice system.
We stay strong.
And I know, gotta keep my head together.
We stay strong.
Don't doubt me, please don't doubt me.
We stay strong.
Tell me how can we be strong if we still shooting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still looting? Tell me how can we be strong if we still hating? Please tell me now, please.